So do you believe?
If I am the man of the house, what do you expect?
So do you believe in paying for everything, being the man of the house?
I mean,
I'm nervous, Max. I'll admit it. I'm nervous, okay? I'll admit it. I'm nervous.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Talking to you guys about David and Alicia's conversation around the kids, around the finances, around me being a man and being in control. Let's talk about their interaction going forward, because that's what got David sent home. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the war uploads, baby. And for those of you who are returning as well, you got the minerals. You got the minerals. All right, cool. Let's talk about it. Hey, don't forget as well, grab your merchandise, okay? Click it down below now. Grab your hoodies. It's getting cold out here, baby. All right, cool. So, dealing with David and Alicia, I think what's really interesting about this interaction is the fact that Dave and Alicia already had a conversation previously on the table. Okay?
David, what you were just talking with Simone is how I felt about you.
okay.
There was a few times I approached you and you were, didn't seem interested, didn't seem like you wanted to have a conversation.
Okay, we got a little glimpse into them. Now, Alicia, and it's really funny because I think David was seemingly getting onto Simone. He got onto Joy a little bit. Alicia then got onto David. Okay, cool. So, what Alicia got onto David for was the fact that she felt like David was a little bit guarded, and she felt like David wasn't really open or receptive to her. She felt like, he wasn't really open to her and having a conversation, which is a fair shout because actually, the same thing she did to, Raymond, right? She wasn't really as open as she wanted to be, but she admitted that. Right, David hasn't admitted that, unfortunately, that he was guarded, and I think he doesn't know that he's that guarded. I think he's not aware that because of the past hurts that he's had, he's actually well. He actually said in the cutscenes in his intros that he was guarded, so he's aware. He's aware of his being guarded, but he was unaware of his guarded behavior in the show. And that's why Simone makes a point.
David, I think me and you may have something in common. We both have a tendency to be guarded. The main part is like being open and being vulnerable, and I feel like vulnerability is a luxury.
And that, me and you actually are quite similar and quite alike. You're quite guarded, I'm quite guarded, right? And she made a very fair point there. I can agree with her. What was interesting is that when Alicia jumped in and said, obviously, I wouldn't say the same thing about you, David. I felt like Alicia chose her point. She's like, I've been waiting to say this. I've been waiting to tell you that, listen, you moved mad the same way as everybody else, right? But it's a fair point that she did make. Because if David has been acting cold and acting like he's not really interested in conversation, bro, you talk about someone else, okay, it's the exact same way. You accusing somebody else, but you are also doing the exact same thing. And so it has to be called out. I'm a person that's fair. I like that. So that already set a precedence, okay? I think that already that David doesn't like Alicia, okay? Probably doesn't like a woman with kids. He wants to probably start fresh. And there's nothing wrong with that again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. The same way that women don't want to date Raymond with 5 kids. Nothing wrong with that at all. If you don't want to date someone with kids, nothing wrong with that. Because when you were first dating yourself and you didn't have no kids, you were dating men that didn't have kids, yeah? Or vice versa. It's fine. If that's your preference, fine. You know what I mean? Go for it. I personally, too, don't really want to be dating someone with kids. I don't want to be a daddy just yet. I want to be able to ease into it and get there as well. Plus, I want it to be our first journey. I want it to be me and you, first journey, our first kid. I want it to be us going forward. That's the perfect ideal. All right, cool. What was interesting then was that they had a conversation later on, David and Alicia, at the pool table, okay? Now, my first thing is that David killed himself because he doesn't know how to explain his point. And also as well, this is a conversation that normally happens when people don't get to fully explain in detail what they actually mean. And we all have different expectancies, and sometimes somebody's expectancy can trigger someone's expectancy can trigger someone's, insecurities and feelings of the past, right? Okay, so let me give an example. David and Alicia are talking about, control, right? And it's interesting because Alicia, the question is...
A controlling type man? No. You like to control the situation? You like to control the finances, the everything?
Yeah. It's open as that. So are you controlling? Yeah. And now David goes on to say, obviously, I am a man, I will be in charge, da da da. Okay, when you start with I am a man, I will be in charge, sir, you are heading down a road that says I am all provider.
So do you believe?
If I am the man of the house, what
Right.
do you expect?
Because it's the same kind of thing. I'm a man, I'm in charge, I expect that then you are going down the all provider road. And when you go down the all provider road, just know that when you go down that road with that expectation, I'm a man and da 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 da, then the woman's also gonna respond with fine.
So do you believe in paying for everything, being the man of the house?
Well, I'm gonna come with you provide for me type of energy. I always say this. If you are not interested in the all provider role, when I say all provider, you pay for everything. And we have to also classify what is everything. And I think this is where the conversation went left. Qualifying what I'm paying for everything. And in fact, David later on with Denise actually explained what he meant. But because he didn't explain it in the conversation with Alicia, it went the wrong way, right? Here's the thing.
I may have worded it wrong.
You did.
It probably came out wrong.
It came out all kind of wrong.
But at the end of the day,
I
would take care of the woman and her kids.
But that's not what.
Again, I'm a person too that and this, a lot of people may disagree, and that's fine. I'm not a problem at all. Like, for instance, I told you guys about first dates and Dutching. I was like, yeah, because if I don't know you, it don't make sense why I'm paying all this. I'm paying the first date, right? I've since then kind of rescinded it, but not necessarily by choice. I think, do you know what? I just can't bother to fight it. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's a theory. I just don't understand why we break patriarchy for you then to say you want to still live in patriarchy and have the choice. No, you're then having your cake and eating it. We break patriarchy and you think outside of patriarchy. You can't try to break patriarchy and then still try to keep the patriarchal vibes. Now, do I believe that that even breaking patriarchy, even breaking down patriarchy and that system, of men being dominant in that system, has traces? Yes, it will still have traces. And so, yes, women don't get the same equal pay. Women might not be able to progress up a ladder as quickly as a man. Absolutely agree with that. 100%, right? 100% agree with that. So I'm not saying that is totally evaporated. It's not. But what I am saying is you can't break patriarchy while keeping the patriarchal traditions. It can't work. You got to choose one of the two, right? So my kind of thing here is about dynamic relationships and dynamic partnerships, okay? I don't mind paying for things. I don't mind buying you things. You know what I'm saying? What I don't like is expectancy. And I think that's where David was unable to explain. And it's a conversation that when it's come up a bit too early. And I think when I was speaking to my missus about this, we were talking about it and saying that she said that conversation came up way too early. And I said, okay, that makes a bit more sense. Okay, I don't know you yet. I'm not with you yet. It's maybe a bit too early to have that conversation because you may not understand my point, and that will cancel me from getting to know me.
In a situation saying that, I'm responsible for your kids when I just finally, you know what I'm saying? When I got there. Now, once we were coming together.
I can hear to that. But this conversation was all about what they expect from the partner. And when it's not fully qualified, there is always going to be a button of heads. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think me and my partner have had this kind of conversation before about what do you expect from the male role and what do I expect from the female role? Here's my thing. Because I'm a man I like to have justice and I like to have fairness and I like to have equality. I understand that as a male, I have to take the majority of the financial burden, not actually because of just society or patriarchy roles, but actually because we lose you for 9 months. That alone should tell us that the majority of the financial burden has to be on me because we lose you for 9 months. You will be out of commission for 9 months and a bit more. 9 months is the minimum. Do you understand? So in that case, the leader role or the financial burden does rest on my shoulders. Okay, a majority of it does rest on my shoulders. Do I also understand that I'm not a millionaire? So to be honest, I also cut my cake according to what I can eat. Do you understand? And so in UK it's a bit different. We understand that most people are going to have to partnership. Buying a house requires both of you. There's not many people that earn 6 figures out here. It's a rarity. So I think most of us in UK, especially this American audience will be slightly different. We can understand that, hey, do you know what? there is going to need to be a partnership. No, it's very hard to buy your own home in the center of city, like for instance London. Maybe if you're Manchester or Birmingham and a bit more far out, you're going to have a bit more chance to do so. But the gap between your finances and actually what they pay you and trying to buy a house, it can be a bit big, you know, and so I think most people here are aware that partnership is going to be needed in this area. What's interesting is about the talk about providing the financial aid here. And so the conversation, he goes on to say, I'll be in control, I'll be in charge, I'm the man of the house. Well, when you drop those bars, you're saying that I have control, and it sounds like you're dominating. And that's, if you want to dominate, I don't agree with domination, but if you're going to dominate, David, you're going to have to pay. It doesn't make sense. You cannot have total dominance and subordinate and have subordinates and be enforcing submission, and you're not willing to pay, sir. Like, come on, listen, you drop it under the man of the house as a power play, right? Rather than saying, listen, look, as a man, I want to be able to guide the relationship. I want to be able to direct the relationship. I want to be able to make some really key decisions for us as a team going forward. That's a completely different, you see, that's a totally different vibe to be, I'm a man, I'm in control of the house. Well, if you're a man in control of the house, go and pay or shut it. You know what I mean? You can't hold that position of I'm a man, no, and not be wanting to pay. No, that's failure. I'm sorry on my part, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have the balance. Alicia was like,
well, or was it just age?
Well, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I'm very, very, very high maintenance. And I felt like a man with 5 kids cannot afford me and my children.
Too. And remember, she already said to earlier on with Raymond that, she's very high maintenance. And I think that probably played into David's mind. When he heard Alicia already earlier on the picnic table say she's high maintenance, I think that really played in his mind as he's thinking, okay, she's high maintenance. Don't think I'm going to be buying. You see, and this is why I said about clearing up what your expectancies are and what you're talking about. Because if you hear someone say, I'm already high maintenance, I'm not thinking about your kids that you're talking about. If you say high maintenance, I'm not thinking, oh, she means her and her kids. When you say high maintenance, I'm thinking that this girl's going to spend like there's no tomorrow, bruv. Because that's my perception. But if I don't clarify what my perception is of what high maintenance is, and then when you begin to talk and I begin to hear my own expectancy of what you've said previously and add it to what you're saying now, I can miss what you're actually saying. And this is what the key thing is. I think he missed what she was actually saying, because what she was then implying in this scenario is that as a mother, she's going to need to be taken care of.
True. But when you're a mom, there's a lot of things that have to be done. You have to make sure that the whole package is taken care of. The kids, the family, the home.
Okay. Right? And so your response would have been is, okay, when we get to that bridge where we're together, yeah, I want to take care of you. I want to make sure that you're well taken care of. Now, how does that look? Now we have another open-ended question. How does that look? Because what do you mean by taking care of? Do you mean that I pay for everything? Do you mean that I pay for every bill? You know what I'm saying? Like, because Denise was kind of explaining this to him about when you love a woman, you take on her mortgage.
Say you in love with a woman and you want to be with the woman, you take everything
that
comes.
That's a given. That is a given.
Let me hear me out. You take everything that comes with her. Mm-hmm. That's her children, her rent, her mortgage, her lifestyle, her everything.
On this thing, and I'm like, okay, if I take that on. Because remember I said it, and this is where I don't like where ladies try to cut the cake and have their eat, whatever you call, cut the cloth, cut the cake, whatever you said, and eat it, whatever, you know what I mean. You know what I mean, okay? If you want all provider, be also ready for all housewife. We're not flipping between the two. Now, the choice is dependent upon whether he also says, okay, do you know what? I don't mind if you're not the housewife. You can go out, do what you're doing. But if you're asking for all provider as a traditional male, don't think that you can have your cake and say, I'm not going to be a traditional woman. So unless you've discussed that with him and he says, listen, do you know what? And remember, Alicia is not a traditional woman too. Just remember that. I'm not here to cook and to clean. Well, sis, if you're looking for all provider, just to let you know, okay, and you're looking for traditional male, because all provider is traditionally it's a traditional male, because beforehand he would have paid for everything because the woman wouldn't work. You know what I mean? So now if you're looking for the all provider who pays for everything, clarifying that up, Just be ready if he then says, I'm looking for the housewife. Now, if you're not ready to do cooking and cleaning and you want him to pay for a housewife to be on top of you being a wife, then he may say, I'm not really interested. But that conversation needs to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm saying be ready for if he says an all provider that you may also be an all housewife. It just got to be ready for it, right? You know, and so I understand that, you know, that having 2 kids and being a mother, financially she needs to be taken care of. There's going to be a need for him to compensate and actually work with it. And this is why I say that a lot of men are not ready for this, you know. But I think in UK it's slightly different, where we go, I think a lot of mothers understand that if they're getting with a guy, he may not take on the full financial burden of their child, because she may see it as, it's my child, you know. But this is where a discussion needs to happen, and this is why I think a lot of guys don't want to also jump in it. Bruv, I don't want to be paying for you. I think a lot of guys understand this. I'm not trying to pay for you and the you, so I'm just not going to engage. Yeah, I'm not here to pay for you and the you. That's not mine, unfortunately. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, that's how they will think. She said obviously she needs a strong man to handle her and the kids. And I would say not necessarily just strong. You need a man that is nurturing. And when I say nurturing in the sense of the fam, a man that actually cares about not just you, but understands that he has to care for the family. And the family is not just her no more. It's her and the kids. The kids have to become his kids. And he's got to be able to take care of not just her needs emotionally, but the kids' needs emotionally too. That's why I say it's such a big task. It's not as simple as straightforward as, yo, just go out and let's get together. You know, it's a very big thinking point as well. You know, and so David came across a little bit controlling in this conversation because of the way that he said about, I'm a man, right? But then was unwilling to pay, I'm a man, tariff and tithes. My sir, you gotta be able to understand. You come with I'm a man, you better be ready to pay the tariff, okay? And there's a tariff to pay for that I'm a man vibe. And so I think what was happening here is Alicia seeing you're not gonna pay at all. You're gonna try and you potentially might try to scrub off me even. I think that she might be seeing that as a perception, and he's seeing it as, you want me to pay for your lifestyle? Like, no. I don't mind paying for kids and stuff, and I have to look after you, but paying for your kids and that, I mean, paying for you and your personal lifestyle? No. I'm not about here to start, you know, financing your personal lifestyle because you're high maintenance.
That's 8 people you responsible for. I can be a little selfish.
So 5 kids.
And so I think there was a crosswire of expectancy and expectation. That being said, him being kicked out, I don't think he got kicked out because he didn't want to take care of kids. I think he got kicked out because of the way he discussed it. And I think that's where Denise was correct, that the way you discussed it made it sound as if you don't want them kids. So if you don't want them kids, you don't want me either. You have to understand, we're a package deal like Sky. Okay, we're a package deal like cable network TV. You understand? We come together. And so because he didn't explain it very well, that was taken wrongly. And unfortunately, sir, you know, communication is good, but comprehension is better. We've got to be able to fresh out these expectancies and these needs and wants. And so when you explained it to Denise and said, oh, no, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that, you know, we're not at that point we're not at that point yet in a relationship for me to do it. We're not in, and we're not in love yet to be able to discuss, you know, what's going to happen between me and you in terms of me paying for stuff. And so I understood his point because they're not at that stage yet. In fact, as I said, that's what Mrs. was saying to me, the conversation came too early. It wasn't necessary. So, yeah, I definitely feel the vibe that, you know, David was going to go because, unfortunately, he had a tiff with Joy, put his hand in her face. Now, I don't think it was that aggressive, but I do see Joy's point. Like, you were finger waggling, almost like an adult telling a child off. It's going to look some way. It's going to be condescending. It's going to be, you know, taken wrongly, even though that might not be your objective or your intention. And so I knew it was going to happen. And because of his defensiveness, and the thing about it is that when he talks, he kind of sometimes overtalks the person instead of actually listening.
You take everything
that
comes.
That's a given. That is a given.
Let me hear me out. You take everything that comes with her. That's her children, her rent, her mortgage.
That is a trait that needs to change because you're going to miss a lot of information by not listening. You got to open your ears and hear what the person's saying. He did a lot of that on the picnic table, and I felt like he didn't listen well enough. And until he listened well enough, he won't get to the point where he needs to get to. Listen first, then speak, and then make some moves from there. But I must say, obviously, I didn't like the way that Alicia discussed about the finance, because I don't think she explained her full expectancy either, and I think it quickly became a cornering rather than actually being a conversation about what our expectations really actually look like and what they are. But David had to go. It's unfortunate. We appreciate him. But guys, well, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads, baby. We appreciate you. Stay loaded, baby.